Hello guys, I hope my voice is audible to all.
Yes, Bhaiya.
जी, जी।
Okay, so let me share my screen. Will be today. I'll be teaching you functions today. Just a minute. My screen is visible to all.
यस भैया।
Okay, nice. Okay, so let's start. So what is a function? Okay, so function is a block of code that we write in a program so that we can use it any number of times we want. And functions are really very useful because they are really easy to understand. We don't have to write that same code again and again. Let me give you an example. Suppose I want to know the sum. Suppose I have an integer. Uh, Suppose I have an integer n equals 6. Okay, 6. Now I want to add 6 plus 2. Okay. If I want to call a function and let it do the sum, so what I will say? I will declare the type of the function, that is int. That means integer. Give the function a name. Let's call it sum. I'll give it a value to which it can add the given desired value. Okay, so I'll call it int n, and now I want it to return n plus 2. Okay, now what I will do, I will call the function. Okay, I'll say printf sum is %d ampersand. Okay, no ampersand. Sum is %d sum of, I'll say n. Okay, let's see what it returns. As you can see, it is visible, right? Sum is 8. Okay, so what it does is, the sum is %d. %d, it means that it is an integer. The sum n function, it gives the value 6 to the function we are calling here, and we have described it here. This is int sum. This is the return type. This is the function name. These are all the parameters, and this is a block of code. Okay, this was an example. Let me tell you what is the basic syntax on how you can write a function. Okay, first thing you need to do is you need to tell it a return type. Okay, return type may be int, it may be float, double, char, all those data types. And suppose if you don't want to return anything, suppose I'll just say like, I don't want to return anything, I want the function itself to print something. So what I will do is, I'll show you that if you don't want to return something, you just have to declare it as void, give it some name like print. Okay, void print. It's up to you if you want to pass a parameter or not. Okay, now I will say printf printf function function is called. Okay, let's see. Now I have declared the function. Now I will call it. I'll say print. Just calling a function is simple. You just have to write the name and give the parenthesis and put a semicolon. It will call the function and your job will be done. Let's see. As you can see, the function is called. So in here I didn't have to return anything, so I just named it void. You can name it anything like int or float or char or anything like that. So this is a basic syntax. You have to declare a return type. If you have no return type, then you can just name it void, and you have to give it a name. You have to give it a parenthesis, and inside a parenthesis you can give any number of parameters you want, like any parameter of any data type as you wish. And there is one issue. Let me tell you. Suppose I am saying int sum. I will give it two parameters. Suppose int m and int n, and I will return. Let's say m plus n. Okay. Okay. Now printf sum is, okay. This is an integer. It will return an integer. So I will say %d, and I will write, and I will call the function now. Sum of, let's say, 3 and 4. Okay, let's run it. It is returning 7. Okay, now we have given the parameters here when we are calling it. Suppose when if we have to say like int m equals 4 and int n equals 3. Yeah, n equals 3. And suppose I by mistake I wrote m comma n instead of n and m. So you have to take care of it is simple sum function, so it is okay. Suppose if we define something like power and you have to return m raised to the power n. So in that case, how you will do? If is suppose I have to return 4 power 3, and if by mistake I called 3 and 4, so that may be some issue, and that you have to check it. Functions are basically of two types. One is the standard library functions. You can all see we are using printf, right? The first thing where we are including is stdio.h, which means standard input output library. All these printf, scanf, all these come under the standard library functions. You just have to write in hash include and stdio.h. This header file will include all the functions related. Suppose these are the inbuilt functions. What I did was here sum and power was the user defined functions. I defined them by myself. Let's take example of some more inbuilt functions. Suppose I want to calculate 3 raised to the power 4. What I will do is I will write int n equals 3, or I can write directly, no issue. I'll write printf 3 raised to power 4 is percentage f pow. Pow is a name of the inbuilt function which comes under the math.h library. I will write 3 comma 4 and it will give us 3 raised to power is 81. Let's take another, like I'll say 3 raised to power 3. It will give, I have to pass it here, power 3 comma 3. It will give us 3 raised to power 3 is 27. Yeah, right. Okay. This is one example. Now if I have to declare something like square root, I'll say printf square root of 4. Let's say suppose 4 is percentage f. I'll say there's an inbuilt function called sqrt. You have to give it one parameter 4. That's it. Square root of 4 is 2. Square root of 4 is 2. Yeah, right. It is working. This was an example. And there are many other examples like ceil, which will give us it will round up. What ceil does is, if you suppose we gave 4.6, it will return us 5. And there is another called floor. What floor does is, if you suppose we gave 4.6, it will give us 4. So these are some of the examples of which come under math.h. We also have strings. Strings you all might have read strings. Some inbuilt functions which come under string.h are, let's say, suppose I have a string char s 20 equals, I call it hello. Next char s1 20, I call it world. Now I want to join these two strings. So what I will do is I'll simply use the strcat. This is an inbuilt function which comes under the string.h library. So what I will write is strcat s comma s1. What it does is it attaches the content of s1 on the backside of s. So now what it will return is, you just have to say printf percentage s. Hello world. Yeah, right. So that's another example. There are many string related functions also, like if you want you can calculate the length. If you want to know the length, you can use strlen. You can also copy two strings with str copy. You can compare with strcmp. These are many inbuilt functions. Um, yeah, okay. Anybody having any doubt up until now? Anybody? You can write in the chat box if you want, or you can unmute yourself. I am audible, right? Hello. Okay. I haven't written maths.h. You can see I wrote math.h. Math.h is a library header file which will include all those math functions as I told, like power, square root, seal, floor, all those. Yeah, yeah. If suppose I didn't write math.h, okay, and now I try to use the power function. If I say printf percentage f, I want to calculate power of 3 comma 4. What it is saying is there is no declaration for it, as it is saying you have to include math.h. Okay, so I have to include the hash include math.h so that I can use all these functions which come under the math.h. Okay, yeah. So what are the benefits of adding functions? uh, uh, it makes your code reusable, right? Suppose I wrote here int sum, okay, int n, and I get what I did is I returned suppose n star 2, that means n multiplied by 2, and I want to use the function suppose 10 times. So what I don't want to write the same code 10 times, right? So I will simply call the function 10 times. I'll write sum of 4 and I will store it in a variable int first. Let's say call it first. I will store it here, and likewise I can call it any number of times and I can store all those values in some any other random variable. Instead of writing the same code again and again, it makes our code reusable. So that is the most important part of functions. And yeah, that's it. That's it from my side, and I would like to pass it to Gaurav. Gaurav, you can take over.
Okay, thank you. So you have learned till now functions. So now I would like you to go a step ahead by using functions to do iterative programming. Okay, so you have till now learned about factorial, to how to find a factorial of a given number using any loops. So just I would like to share my screen and show you that you can just simply write the same program to give out you can write the program to give out the same output using functions without using any loop statement like for, while, or do while loop. So just wait a second. I hope my screen is visible to everyone.
हाँ भैया.
Okay, great. So just don't get panic seeing this screen. Let I would explain it to you. So first, the thing that we use as a term is called as recursive function. So recursive, as the name suggests, it means that when you repeat a activity again and again, so that is called as recursive. So how so the thing is like that how why is this called as recursive function? So recursive function is the thing that when you call a function within the same function to uh, to do a kind of like loop thing. So like if you have seen two parallel mirrors and you keep a object in between them, so you can see an infinite number of images. So it's kind of like similar here also. Like we define a function, and within the function we call the same function again and again. So just think that if I don't put any breaking condition to the function definition, then the whole program would go into an infinite loop. Just similar like that, the example that I gave of two parallel mirrors. So if we keep two mirrors, plane mirrors, parallel to each other, then there would be an infinite number of images until and unless we change the angle between them to form a limited number of images. Similarly, if we don't keep a breaking condition here, then the number of loops would be infinite, and the your system may crash simply. So as I said that you have written factorial of a given number, that is the same number multiplied, like 5 factorial equal to 5 into 4 into 3 into 2 into 1. So similarly, you have written it using for loop or any other loop. So now I would like you to do the same thing using a function without using any for, while or do while loop statement. So first of all, I have included the standard input output header file. Then I have defined a user defined function where I have passed two parameters like n, a result, and both are of int type. So this n is the number of the number that is going to be input by the user to find the factorial of that given number, and the result is the value that it would be storing the factorial of the number. So let's proceed. So first of all, this if the if condition that you can see that if n equal to 0 or double equal to 0, return result. So this is called as the base case, or the breaking condition, you can say like that, that if we meet this condition, that we may return the result, and else we proceed with this else statement. So our main objective in the recursive function is that we try to meet to the base case condition, so that in order to avoid the stack overflow condition. So what is now stack overflow? Like if I would have written here, like if n equal to 100. Okay, so just if n equal to 100, then return result. But on the contrary, we can see that if we are again calling the same function that is named fact with the variable n minus 1, with two arguments, that is n minus 1 and n into result. So n would be the number that would be input by the user, and result, and we are passing another argument named n into result, which would be uh, passed to this result variable. So like this, if for the time being I input a number name equal to 5, so this n would be equal to 5, and this result would be equal to, okay, 1. Yeah, here. Okay, here you can see that a result equal to 1. So if result equal to 1 and n equal to 5, then we proceed that if n equals equal to 100, so the answer is no. So then we return the result, and so we cannot return the result, and we proceed to the else block. So here we see that we have to return the fact of n minus 1, or where we again call the function fact by passing the two arguments n minus 1 and n into result. So as we had passed n equal to 5, now we decrease it by 1, and now n becomes 4, and n into result, that becomes 5. So now result equal to 5 and n equal to 4. So again we see that no, it is not 100, and then again else. So like this onward, this process continues like this. N becomes first, it becomes 5 when we call the function through this void main. But when it goes the function goes on by calling itself, it does not meet this break case condition. The reason is that we have kept the break case condition large than the input variable. So this goes on decreasing, but this is a higher number. So like you write in a for statement, like for I equal to 1, I less than something, or then we do the increment or decrement depending on the condition that we want. So our objective here is like that we want to meet to the base condition. So here I would just edit it, so when I run the program, no mistake comes. So our break case is that if n equal to 0, base case that if n equal to 0, then we have to return the result, or else we have to proceed with the function calling itself or the recursion calls. So here we pass the n minus 1 and the n into result. So just imagine that you have a bucket, okay, and you are keeping bricks one above another. So this is what the concept of stack is, the word that I have been saying till now, stack. So this is the concept of stack, or just simply think of your piling a set of notebooks one above the another. So the concept of stack is that last in first out, LIFO. So the last notebook that we keep on the stack is the first notebook that we take out when we just, if we go serially, okay, from the top to bottom, if we go serially, then it is the first notebook that we take out. So similarly, here the same thing happens. So as we know that if we want to predict an output of a given program, we start with the main part or the main body, main, I would say, main block of the complete program. So here the main block is this void main. So here we are declaring this variable named num to be of int type, and then here we are printing a simple message. So here we are taking input of that num variable to be an integer, and then we are again doing a printf statement that is factorial is equal to percentage d, that is the type specifier percentage d, and then here we are calling the our user defined function fact with the two variables with two arguments. I would say one is the variable that we have passed, or the variable that we have input, which is equal to num, and then the one to the result. So here it comes, and here it calls the function fact. So here the n is equal to 5 and result is equal to 1. So first of all, just saying that first notebook you keep is the activation of the main function, activation record of the main function. Then when you call this fact function with the with the arguments, that is the second notebook. So here it comes the second notebook, and now if we check that if n equal to 0, no, so we go to the else block, and here we see that return fact with n minus 1 and n into result. So now we again call the same function, that is the recursion call that I was saying, with the n is equal to n minus 1, that is n is equal to 4, and result is equal to n into result, that is equal to 5. So again we keep another notebook, that is the activation record of the fact function with n equal to 4. Okay, similarly we keep on doing this till we reach the base case condition, that if n is equal to 0. So this, so that if n is equal to 0, so we have to return the result. So we so the result may is equal to a variable that gets keep on multiplying with the number that we have input, with one decreasing in each every step of the function call. Like if first was 5, then 4, then 3, then 2, then 1. Okay, so now n is equal to 0, then we have to return this result value to the main function. So now just think that pile of notebooks that you have kept, you are again just removing the notebooks one by one from top to bottom. So first is that the result variable, the value is calculated as, first it is equal to 1, then when the top notebook is removed, so the result is equal to 1. Then again you, when you equal to 2, so uh, when the when you remove another notebook, then the result equal to 1 into 2. So then third, then 1 into 2 into 3. So this process continues, and we get the result equal to finally 1 into 2 into 3 into 4 into 5. So this is just a small example that I'm saying. So this result variable is now returned to this main function, where it is printed here in the statement, and we get the factorial of a given number without using any loops. So let's just a second. I'm stopping my presentation for just a second. Okay, so I think the command line command prompt is visible to all of you. So when I ran this C program, I ended up with this command prompt, which is showing me a message that please enter number. So we would do the same. So let us do with our example by entering 5. Okay, then enter, and yeah, that's the correct answer. That is equal to 120. So we can safely say that our program is running completely fine. So the main thing to remember while writing a recursive program is that we should not end up with being the program to become an infinite loop. And secondly, our main objective should be to meet the base case condition when the recursion call ends. So not in order to avoid the stack overflow condition. So these two things should be kept in mind, and that's all. So you may find various numbers of problems that you can reconstruct with using the recursive functions concept. So I would like you to do the same to get your hands dirty on various programs. Uh, and the main advantage of using recursive program over the over the iterative program is that it is a cleaner way to write the code by not using any for, and uh, it may sometimes appear to be lesser lines of code, but the main disadvantage is that like both the things do the same stuff, like they iterate over the variable over set of values. But the main thing that the main disadvantage of iterative of recursive programming over iterative programming is that it consumes a lot of space, which results in increased amount of time that is consumed by the program to run as compared to the iterative programming. Uh, Same iterative program with same input. So I would say that iterative program is comparatively much faster than the recursive programming. So that's the main disadvantage. And the only advantage is that it is a much cleaner way to write the code and may sometimes result in lesser lines of code. So that's all what is about recursive program. And I think, and if you have any doubts, then you can just unmute yourself or just write it in the comments chat section. Okay, the n equal to 100 case. Okay. So as I was saying that, just a second. So is the program visible? Can just anybody confirm? Program, the code is visible or not?
No, Bhaiya.
Okay, just a second. Okay, so great. The I think the code is now visible. So yeah, as I was saying that if we write n equal to, okay, just 100. Okay, 100. Okay. So as you have done in the for loop or the any loop thing, that we try to meet the variable. So like we write a syntax like for like if I have declared the variable to be I int type, so I'm just writing the stuff like if I equal to 0, I less than, just a second, I less than 5, and I plus plus. So this is the thing that you write in a iterative statement. So you don't do a stuff like this if I is uh, greater than, or like just a second, let me think. And 5, you do a thing like this if I equal to 0, for I equal to 0, I less than 5, I plus plus, and there is like some block of codes that you write within the for statement. So but you don't do a thing like uh, I minus minus. So if you just think, if you do I minus minus, so like if for I equal to 0, yes, I less than 5, that's also true, then I do I minus minus. So now the block of code would be executed and then I would be equal to -1. So again, I is less than 5, yes, that's true, and that I minus minus. So this process would go on till like it would go on till infinity. It would not end, like, because every time you do the operation over that I variable, it would be like it is, yes, it is less than 5, it is, yes, it is less than 5. So this block of codes would be executed till infinite. So that is the thing the we are writing in a for statement. So we do I plus plus to meet this condition, this I less than 5, that when 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, then it should stop at 5. So the similar way, I am the thing is like that. The thing is much similar to here, like that. If I mention if n equal to 100, just think that I am passing here num equal to 5. Okay, so here n would be equal to 5. Now it would check if n is equal to 100, return result. Else do this stuff. Okay, this is the block of code. So if n is equal to 100, no. So it would then go to else block. So it would then call the same function but with decreased value of n. So first it was 5, then it would be 4. So then 4. 4 is equal to 100, no. Then it would call, then it would again call the same function with uh, one value decrement, that is n would be equal to 3. So the value would be continuing to go and decrease from 4 to 5 to 4 to 3 to 2 to 1, and it would be going negative, but it would not meet this condition that if n is equal to 100. So if it does not meet this base condition, so still the loop is going in an still the function is going in an infinite loop, which we do not want. We want a particular value to be obtained at last. We don't want our program to end in an infinite loop. So safely we would it would be better if we mention a break case condition that the function call, the recursive function call here, would meet ultimately. Like if I had mentioned, as I had mentioned 0, so the function would meet, like if 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Okay, it is meeting here. But if I mention 100, then it wouldn't meet here, and it would go on continuing because the variable n would never be equal to 1. So I hope I have solved your doubt. Whoever asked about that n equal to 100 case. Okay, great. So that's all. And if anybody has any other doubts, then you can just write it in the comment section or message section.